Maya Chen stood frozen in the doorway of her home office, the mug of chamomile tea slipping from her fingers and shattering on the hardwood floor. The hot liquid splashed across her bare feet, but she felt nothing. Her eyes were fixed on the computer screen before her, where the security camera feed displayed her living room in perfect high definition. The vintage record player her husband Elijah had restored for their 5th anniversary spun lazily in the corner. Their wedding song played, Otis Redding's These Arms of Mine, the melody distorted by the activities taking place on their Italian leather couch. There, bathed in the golden afternoon light streaming through the bay windows, were 2 bodies intertwined in passionate embrace, her husband Elijah and her best friend Vanessa. Maya's knuckles turned white as she gripped the edge of the desk, her wedding ring catching the light from her desk lamp. The security system had only been installed 3 days ago, a precaution after the break-in 2 streets over. She hadn't even told Elijah yet. Now she wished she never had. 3 months earlier. "Remind me again why we had to drive all the way to Evergreen for brunch?" Maya asked, sliding into the booth across from Vanessa Reed. The quaint cafe was bustling with Sunday morning patrons, the air rich with the scent of fresh pastries and coffee. Vanessa's auburn hair was pulled back in a messy bun, her green eyes sparkling with excitement. "Because, my dear, they have the best Eggs Benedict in 3 counties, and I refuse to let you waste another weekend buried in depositions." She reached across the table and squeezed Maya's hand. "Besides, when was the last time we had proper girl time?" Maya smiled, feeling the familiar warmth of their 15-year friendship. They had met in law school. Maya, the studious overachiever, Vanessa, the charismatic natural talent. Now, with Maya running her own family law practice and Vanessa heading the art therapy program at the Children's Hospital, their time together had become precious. "Fair enough," Maya conceded, taking a sip of her mimosa. Elijah was thrilled to have the house to himself anyway. "New record shipment came in yesterday." "Ah, your husband and his vinyl obsession. Still hibernating in that basement studio of his?" Vanessa teased, "Always. But I can't complain. His restoration business is actually taking off." That commission from the Music Museum in Chicago came through. Vanessa's smile faltered momentarily, but Maya was distracted by the arrival of their food. "So," Vanessa said, expertly changing the subject, "have you 2 discussed the baby thing again?" Maya's fork paused midway to her mouth. "Not lately. Things have been, I don't know, different." She set her fork down. "We've been married 7 years. The practice is finally stable. It should be the right time, but what? But I'm not sure we're in the same place anymore," Maya confessed, voicing the fear that had been growing inside her for months. "Elijah seems distant, preoccupied. When we do talk about the future, it's like we're having 2 different conversations." Vanessa nodded sympathetically. "Every marriage has phases, Maya. Remember when Tom and I hit that rough patch last year? Look at us now," Maya smiled wanly. Vanessa and Tom had separated briefly before reconciling stronger than ever. Now Tom was away on a 6-month Doctors Without Borders assignment in Kenya. "You're right," Maya said. "I just need to make more effort. We both got comfortable, that's all." "That's my girl," Vanessa said, raising her glass. "To rekindling the flame." "To rekindling," Maya echoed. Later that evening, Maya returned home with newfound determination. She found Elijah in his basement studio, headphones on, completely absorbed in cleaning the grooves of a rare Blue Note jazz album. She stood watching him for a moment, his dark curls falling over his forehead, his strong hands working with delicate precision, the concentration etched on his face. She remembered falling in love with those hands, the way they moved over piano keys at the university jazz club where they'd met. Maya approached, gently touching his shoulder. Elijah startled, then smiled, pulling off his headphones. "Hey, you're back," he said, standing to kiss her. "How was Vanessa?" "Good. She sends her love," Maya replied, noticing how he quickly glanced at his phone before setting it face down on the workbench. "Listen, I was thinking, maybe we could plan that weekend trip to the vineyard. The one we've been talking about? Elijah's expression flickered with something Maya couldn't quite read. Yeah, that sounds nice. Let me check my calendar for restoration deadlines. He turned back to the record. This one's almost done. The client's picking it up tomorrow. I could help, Maya offered, reaching for a cleaning cloth. No, Elijah said sharply, then softened. Sorry, it's just, this one's really delicate, irreplaceable. Maya withdrew her hand, feeling the invisible wall between them grow higher. Right, well, I'll be upstairs. As she climbed the stairs, Maya fought back tears. When had they become so careful around each other? When had his passion for music, the very thing that had drawn her to him, become the chasm between them? In the weeks that followed, Maya tried everything to bridge the gap. Date nights, thoughtful gestures, even surprising Elijah at his downtown workshop with lunch. Each effort brought momentary connection, but the distance always returned, sometimes worse than before. Maybe we need counseling, she suggested one night over dinner. Elijah set down his fork. Counseling? Maya, we're fine. We're just busy. It happens. It shouldn't happen to us, she insisted. Remember how we used to stay up all night just talking? When did we stop talking, Elijah? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. We're talking right now, aren't we? I don't know what you want from me. I want us back, she said, her voice breaking. I want to feel like we're partners again, not just roommates who occasionally have sex. Elijah's face hardened. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you asked about my day? My cases? The last time we made plans for our future? The future, he scoffed. You mean your timetable for kids? Your plan for our lives? The words hung between them like a physical presence. Maya felt as though she'd been slapped. I didn't realize our future was just my plan, she said quietly. I thought it was ours. Elijah's expression softened with regret. He reached across the table for her hand. Maya, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... It's fine, she interrupted, standing and gathering their plates. I have a brief to finish anyway. That night, lying awake beside Elijah's sleeping form, Maya made a decision. She would fight for their marriage. Whatever it took. They had built something beautiful once. They could rebuild it. The next day, she called Vanessa. I need advice, Maya said. Things with Elijah are worse than I thought. Vanessa's voice came through the phone, steady and reassuring. Tell me everything. Maya poured out her fears, her frustrations, her determination to save her marriage. What you need, Vanessa said decisively, is to remind him of what he fell in love with. Not just you, the life you built together, and so Operation Rekindling began. Vanessa became Maya's closest confidant and strategist. Together, they planned special moments to recreate Maya and Elijah's courtship, concert tickets to see his favorite jazz musician, cooking his mother's secret recipe that Maya had once mastered to win his heart, even tracking down a first pressing of the album that had been playing the night they met. For a while, it seemed to be working. Elijah responded to each gesture with genuine appreciation. There were moments, precious, fleeting moments, when Maya saw glimpses of the man she'd married. The way his eyes crinkled when he really smiled. The deep, throaty laugh that had become so rare. But then came the missed dinner reservations, the late nights at the studio, the texts that made him step outside to answer. I think he might be having an affair, Maya confessed to Vanessa one evening over wine in her kitchen. I found a receipt for 2 drinks at the Monarch. You know that fancy cocktail bar downtown? On a Tuesday afternoon when he told me he was meeting a client about a restoration. Vanessa set down her glass, her expression unreadable. Maya, you can't jump to conclusions. Maybe it was a client meeting. At a bar known for its romantic atmosphere? With 2 martinis. His favorite? Maya shook her head. Something's not right. I can feel it. Vanessa reached out, covering Maya's hand with her own. If you're really worried, why don't you just ask him? Because I'm afraid of the answer, Maya whispered, tears welling in her eyes. What if he doesn't love me anymore? What if I've already lost him? You haven't lost anything, Vanessa said firmly. And you're not going to. We'll figure this out. The break-in at the Harris's house 2 streets over happened the following week. A midday burglary while the family was at work and school. Professional, targeted, devastating. The neighborhood was on edge, community chat groups buzzing with fear and speculation. "We should get a security system," Maya told Elijah over breakfast. "The police said the burglars might hit other houses in the area." Elijah nodded absently, scrolling through his phone. "Yeah, probably a good idea. Whatever you think is best." The dismissive response would have hurt a few months ago. Now Maya just felt numb. "I'll handle it," she said. She contacted a security company that day. By the end of the week, discrete cameras were installed throughout their home. The front and back doors, the living room, the kitchen. The system fed directly to an app on Maya's phone and the desktop computer in her home office. She hadn't told Elijah yet. Each night she meant to bring it up, but something held her back. Some instinct, some protective mechanism, or perhaps deep down she already knew. Maya wasn't supposed to be home that Tuesday afternoon. A settlement conference had been scheduled for 2 p.m., expected to run until at least 5 a.m. But the opposing party had a family emergency, and everything was postponed. She debated going back to the office, but decided to take the rare free afternoon to catch up on household tasks. Maybe even prepare a nice dinner, another attempt to reconnect with Elijah. As she pulled into her driveway at 1:45 p.m., she noticed a familiar car parked down the street. Vanessa's silver Audi. She must have come to drop off those art therapy books she mentioned, Maya thought, pleased at the unexpected visit. But as she approached her front door, Maya heard music coming from inside. The distinctive warm crackle of vinyl, Otis Redding. Their wedding song. Maya paused, key in hand, a strange feeling washing over her. Why would Elijah be home in the middle of a Tuesday? Why would he be playing their wedding song with Vanessa? Instead of entering through the front door, Maya walked around to the side entrance that led directly to her home office. She entered quietly, set down her briefcase, and turned to her computer. The security app icon blinked on her desktop. She hadn't checked the feeds yet, hadn't needed to. Now, her hand hovered over the mouse, a part of her already knowing what she would see, another part desperately denying it. She clicked. The living room camera feed filled her screen. There was their record player spinning their song. There was their couch. And there, in plain view, were Elijah and Vanessa, his hands in her auburn hair, her lips on his neck, their bodies moving together with the familiar intimacy of lovers who knew each other well. The mug of tea Maya had absently prepared slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. But she couldn't tear her eyes away from the screen. How long? How long had they been betraying her? The strategy sessions for saving her marriage? Had Vanessa been laughing at her the whole time? The receipts for 2 drinks, had that been them? On the screen, Elijah whispered something in Vanessa's ear that made her laugh. That deep, throaty laugh that Maya had always admired. Something broke inside Maya then. Not just her heart, but something fundamental to her understanding of the world. Of trust, of love. She didn't make a sound as she backed away from the computer, as she gathered her keys, as she slipped out the side door. They never knew she had been there. In her car, Maya sat motionless, hands gripping the steering wheel. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply stared through the windshield at the home she had built, the life she had constructed, now revealed as nothing but an elaborate facade. Then, with mechanical precision, she started the car and drove away. Maya checked into a hotel downtown, a sleek, anonymous place where no one knew her. For 3 days, she moved through a fog, calling in sick to work, turning off her phone after sending a brief text to her assistant to reschedule all appointments. She watched the security feeds on her laptop, watched Elijah calling her repeatedly, growing increasingly concerned. Watched Vanessa come by again, ostensibly to help look for her, only to fall into Elijah's arms once more when they thought they were alone. On the 4th day, Maya woke with perfect clarity. She showered, dressed in her most powerful courtroom outfit, a charcoal gray suit with a crimson blouse, applied her makeup with precision, and drove home. It was 7:30 p.m. when she walked through the front door. Elijah was in the kitchen, phone pressed to his ear. When he saw her, his face flooded with relief. "She's here," he said into the phone. "I'll call you back." He rushed toward Maya, arms outstretched. "My God, Maya, where have you been?" "I've been out of my mind." "I called hospitals. I filed a missing person report." Maya stepped back, avoiding his touch. "Is that what you told Vanessa when you called her just now? That you were out of your mind with worry?" Elijah froze, confusion crossing his features. "What?" "Yes, everyone's been worried. Vanessa's been helping me look for you." "I'm sure she has," Maya said, her voice eerily calm. "She's been very helpful lately, hasn't she? Helping you in so many ways." Something shifted in Elijah's expression, a flicker of understanding, quickly masked by defensive confusion. "Maya, what are you talking about? Where have you been?" "I installed security cameras," she said simply, "after the break-in at the Harrises. I was going to tell you, but I got distracted when I saw you fucking my best friend on our couch." The color drained from Elijah's face. He opened his mouth, closed it, then sank onto a kitchen stool. "How long?" Maya asked, still standing in the entryway, her purse still over her shoulder as if she might leave again at any moment. Elijah stared at the floor. "Maya, How? Long?" Each word was a separate sentence, hard and final. 6 months, he whispered. Maya nodded, absorbing the blow. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Of planning her future with a man who was building a different future behind her back. "Did you ever love me?" she asked, hating the question even as it escaped her lips. Elijah looked up then, his eyes wet. "Of course I did. I still do. It wasn't about you." A harsh laugh escaped Maya's throat. "No? My husband and my best friend carrying on an affair for 6 months wasn't about me? Please explain how that works." "It just happened," he said weakly. "We never meant to—" "Don't," Maya interrupted. "Don't you dare say you never meant to hurt me. You made thousands of choices, Elijah. Every text, every lie about where you were, every time you touched her while I was trying to save our marriage." Her voice broke on the last word. "I know," he whispered. "I know, I'm sorry. Does Tom know?" Maya asked suddenly. "Or is Vanessa playing the devoted long-distance wife while he saves lives in Kenya?" Elijah looked away and Maya had her answer. "You disgust me," she said quietly. "Both of you." "Maya, please." Elijah stood, taking a step toward her. "We can work through this. People make mistakes. Couples recover from affairs all the time." "This wasn't just an affair," Maya replied. "This was a systematic betrayal by the 2 people I trusted most in this world. You watched me try to fix our marriage while you were actively destroying it." She reached into her purse and pulled out her phone, opening the security app. "I have it all, Elijah. Every encounter. Every lie." She turned the screen toward him, showing a split screen of multiple camera angles. "Including last Thursday, when you told me you were meeting a client in Springfield." Elijah's face crumpled. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to Vanessa's," Maya said, her voice steady. "Right now. And you're coming with me." "Maya, no," Elijah pleaded. "Let me talk to her first. Let's handle this like adults," Maya finished for him. "That opportunity passed when you decided to betray me for half a year. Get your keys. We're leaving in 2 minutes." 20 minutes later, they stood on Vanessa's doorstep. Maya rang the bell, her heart pounding but her resolve unwavering. Vanessa opened the door, her face registering surprise, then alarm at their expressions. "Maya, you're okay." "We've been so worried." Her gaze shifted to Elijah, reading something in his face that made her step back. "What's going on? May we come in?" Maya asked, her professional courtesy tone firmly in place. Vanessa hesitated, then stepped aside. They entered her tastefully decorated living room, a space where Maya had spent countless evenings, sharing wine and confidences with the woman she had considered a sister. "I installed security cameras in my house," Maya said without preamble. "The system records to the cloud. I've been watching the footage for the past 3 days from my hotel room." Vanessa's hand flew to her throat. "Maya, 6 months. Maya continued. That's what Elijah tells me. 6 months of sleeping with my husband while consoling me about my troubled marriage. 6 months of strategy sessions to win him back. Was it amusing for you? Did you laugh about it afterward? No, Vanessa cried, tears spilling down her cheeks. It wasn't like that. I never meant we never planned to fall in love? Maya finished. Is that what you're going to say? That you fell in love? Vanessa and Elijah exchanged a glance that confirmed everything. Oh my God, Maya whispered. You actually believe that? You've constructed a whole narrative where you're star-crossed lovers instead of lying, cheating betrayers. Maya, please, Vanessa sobbed. You have to understand. I fought it. We both did. But sometimes feelings... Stop, Maya held up a hand. Just stop. Do you hear yourself? You're my best friend. You've been in my life for 15 years. You held my hand at my father's funeral. You were my maid of honor. Her voice rose with each sentence. You helped me pick out lingerie to seduce. My husband while you were fucking him behind my back. The room fell silent except for Vanessa's quiet sobs. Does Tom know? Maya asked, echoing her earlier question to Elijah. Vanessa shook her head, unable to meet Maya's eyes. So not only did you betray me, but you're also betraying the man who thinks he's coming home to a faithful wife after spending 6 months saving children's lives in Africa. Maya laughed bitterly. You two deserve each other. She turned to leave, but Elijah caught her arm. Maya, wait. Where are you going? We need to talk about this, about us, about what happens next. Maya looked down at his hand on her arm, then back up at his face. There is no us anymore, Elijah. And what happens next is that I'm filing for divorce. My associate will contact you with the papers. But our house, our life, he began, is over, she finished firmly. I have copies of everything, by the way. Every encounter, every lie. I don't think Tom would appreciate seeing how his wife spent his absence, but that's Vanessa's problem now. You wouldn't, Vanessa whispered, her face ashen. Maya considered her for a long moment. No, I wouldn't. Not because you deserve my protection, but because Tom doesn't deserve that pain. He's a good man who made the mistake of loving someone incapable of loyalty. She turned back to Elijah. I'll be staying with my sister until you've moved out. You have 1 week. She walked to the door, then paused, turning back one last time. You know what the saddest part is? I actually thought we could fix things. I thought we were worth fighting for. She looked between them, these strangers who had once been her world. I was wrong. 1 year later. Maya placed the needle on the record, smiling as the first notes filled her new apartment. Jazz had always been Elijah's thing, but she'd discovered during the past year that she had her own relationship with music, one that had nothing to do with him. The divorce had been finalized 6 months ago. Clean, professional, as painless as such things can be when conducted between two people who once loved each other. Maya had let Elijah keep most of his precious record collection, asking only for a few albums that held meaning for her independently of their relationship, including this one, Ella Fitzgerald singing Cole Porter. Not their song, not their memory, just beautiful music that made her feel alive. Her phone buzzed with a text from Lena, her sister. Still on for dinner? Marcus is making his famous risotto. Maya smiled, typing back a quick affirmative. Her relationship with Lena had deepened during the past year, the silver lining to the dark cloud of betrayal. She had moved in with Lena and her husband Marcus initially, expecting to stay a few weeks. She'd ended up staying 3 months, healing under their gentle care and firm insistence that she was better off without both Elijah and Vanessa in her life. As she moved around her apartment preparing for the evening out, Maya caught sight of herself in the mirror. Her reflection showed a woman she was still getting to know, stronger, more defined, with a quiet confidence that hadn't been there before. The Maya who had stood watching her husband and best friend on a security screen had been shattered by betrayal. This Maya had been forged in that fire. Her phone rang, a client with a last-minute question about their custody arrangement. Maya answered, her professional demeanor sliding into place effortlessly. Her practice had thrived in the wake of her personal upheaval, as if all the energy she had poured into her failing marriage was now channeled into her work, her true passion. After addressing the client's concerns, Maya grabbed her coat and keys. As she locked her apartment door, her neighbor David emerged from his unit across the hall. "Evening, counselor," he greeted her with a warm smile. David was a high school English teacher with a dry wit and kind eyes who had moved in 3 months ago. They had developed an easy friendship over borrowed coffee and shared recommendations for takeout. "Evening, Professor," she returned with a smile. "Off to torture some Dickens?" "Papers to grade," he confirmed. "The exciting Friday night of an educator. You look nice. Hot date?" "Family dinner," Maya replied, pressing the elevator button. "My brother-in-law makes a risotto worth dressing up for." David nodded. "The famous risotto. I've heard the legends." "You should try it sometime," Maya said, surprising herself with the implied invitation. David's smile widened slightly. "I'd like that." The elevator arrived, and they rode down together in comfortable silence. In the lobby, they were about to part ways when David turned to her. "Maya," he said, a hint of nervousness in his voice. "I've been meaning to ask, would you maybe want to grab coffee sometime? Or dinner? With me, I mean. Like a date." Maya felt a flutter in her chest, not the desperate hope of her final months with Elijah, but something lighter. Possibility. "I'd like that," she said, echoing his earlier words. "How about Sunday? There's a new cafe on Madison I've been wanting to try." David's face lit up. "Sunday works. I'll text you." They parted ways outside the building, David heading toward the parking garage, Maya turning toward the subway station. As she walked, her phone buzzed again. A news alert. Tom Kendrick, the doctor who had been working in Kenya, had received a humanitarian award for his work establishing a children's clinic there. The article mentioned he had extended his stay for another year. Maya paused, the implications sinking in. Tom didn't know. He was still in Africa, still believing in a faithful wife waiting for his return. Meanwhile, according to her sister's careful reconnaissance, Vanessa and Elijah had moved in together, 3 months after the confrontation, presenting themselves as a legitimate couple to their confused social circle. Maya had the power to shatter that illusion with a single email. She had the video evidence, the dates, the times. She could ensure that Tom knew exactly what kind of woman he had married. She had considered it many times over the past year. In her darkest moments of grief and rage, the temptation to expose them had been nearly overwhelming. But now, standing in the fading autumn light, Maya realized something. The desire for revenge, for justice, had gradually transformed into something else. Not forgiveness, certainly, but a detachment. Elijah and Vanessa no longer occupied the central place in her thoughts that they once had. They were characters in a painful chapter of her life, but the page had turned. She closed the news alert and continued toward the subway, her steps light. Ahead of her lay dinner with people who truly loved her, a promising coffee date with a kind-eyed teacher, and a future entirely her own. Behind her, left in the settling dust of a life demolished and rebuilt, were the betrayals captured on camera, the love that had proven false, and the record that still played in an empty room, spinning tales of what might have been. In time she knew, even those ghosts would fade to silence.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.